Today on this show, I'm going to transform this butternut squash into this fantastic plate of butternut squash yum. Welcome to the wonderful world of squash. Okay, so there's many different kinds of squashes, and these are called the winter squashes. And this is a butternut squash. And then we have an acorn squash, which is very common here. And we have a buttercup squash, and we have a spaghetti squash. All right, all winter squashes, they all have really tough exteriors. The only bad part is that you have to try to cut through it. First things first, when you bring your squash home, you want to keep it in a cool, dark place and try to use it within literally about a month or two, because these are called cold storage vegetables. So you can actually keep it in a cool, dark place. That doesn't mean sitting on your counter, okay? It means in a cool, dark place. I keep mine in my pantry downstairs because it's quite cold. All right, you're going to wash it first, and then you're going to cut off the top and the bottom. And you need a really sharp knife for this and some muscles, okay? So just cut them both off. The reason is it's easier to peel when it's cut off. And if you want to make this into soup stock, you can save that, scoop out the inside and put it into your soup stock, okay? Now, the next thing is you want to peel it. Now, the reason that you washed it before was that when you cut through, you weren't going to be cutting the bacteria that could have been on the outside into the actual squash. And then very carefully, you're going to peel it away from you. Now this takes a while, and you know what, there's a whole bunch of different methods that you can use, but for me, this one works the best. But if you want to use a really sharp knife and cut off the peel that way, go for it. All right, I'm going to use the peeler. Ta-da! Okay, that wasn't too much of a pain in the butt. All right, so now don't ever put this into a soup stock. It will be awful, okay? It's too tough. It's got kind of a bitter taste. So that's going to go into my composter. We have city composters here in Toronto. Okay, now, next thing. All right, so it kind of looks like the Leaning Tower of Pisa. I obviously eyeballed it wrong. It probably is because my knife is kind of twisty. Maybe I'll use my other one. Hello, I'm back. Okay, so this is probably a better knife to go right through. And this is the tricky part because you want to try to cut it right down the center, okay? And let's see if I could do it. Oh. Okay, two. Excellent. Then using a spoon, you're going to scoop out the seeds. Now, I don't know if this will work, but you could always try. You could always plant the, I have stuff flying all over the kitchen. There's peel on the floor. Anyway, scrape all the seeds out, but you could maybe try to keep the seeds in if you want to plant some. I don't know. You have to dry them out, and then you have to freeze them and, you know, to force them as if they thought that they were actually in Mother Nature. You know what? Just buy a package of seeds. Okay, so scoop these babies out, and then the really neat part is because we want to get those striations. Is that a word? I think I made it up. But it means, you know, those little kind of lines, okay? Now, you can either cut it into quarters before it cooks or after. And when I was experimenting, I think it's actually better if you do them whole first, okay? Now, here is the home economist home economist tip. You want to use a pizza knife, a pizza roller, because you're making these little lines and the pizza knife goes like in a circle. It's so much easier. Make sure you hide your fingers so that you don't cut them off. But this is a genius professional home economist tip. So if you have a pizza roller, use it. If you don't have to buy one. You can do this with a knife, but seriously, it's way more work. So, let's see if you can see it better from this angle. Okay, look at that. Isn't that the coolest thing? And ta-da! Okay, so the more little lines that you cut into it, you want to go too deep. You just want to sort of do it on the surface so that it's going to spread open. Then put them on a baking sheet. As you see, I got my parchment paper wet. If you want to know that tip, Click on the link over here and you can see how you can do that. And now we're going to add all our spices, okay? So now I've got 4 different spices. I have right over here, I've got cinnamon, I have nutmeg, I have turmeric, and I have cracked pepper. And cracked pepper and turmeric together makes it's basically called exponentially it's better, okay? So when you just have turmeric as an anti-inflammatory, it's good, but when you mix it with cracked pepper, it bumps it up, okay? Now I've got 2 tablespoons of melted unsalted butter, and then I'm going to be adding 2 tablespoons of heart healthy canola oil. Now you could do the whole thing with canola oil if you want. I just wanted a little bit of the flavor of the butter, okay? And then we're just gonna dump it all into the melted butter and oil, turmeric, cracked pepper, nutmeg, and cinnamon. Mix it all up. Then using a brush, we're gonna brush it on and only brush about half of this onto the squash. It's going to go into the oven in total for about an hour and a half, an hour and 45 minutes. And so halfway through, it depends on the size of the squash. This is a 2-pound squash about. So halfway through, take it out and baste it with the other half of this. Okay, and into the oven it goes. Squash is one of my all-time favorite winter vegetables. Okay, it's loaded with beta carotene. It's so good for you, and I like to mix it up with different kinds of toppings and stuff. Now, this is going to serve between 4 to 8 people. We love vegetables, so this would seriously only serve 4. But the cool part about when you cut it with the pizza roller is that when you go to serve it, all you have to do is slice it down some of the lines that are already been cut. It's a genius idea. All right, so hey, if you like what we're doing, give me a thumbs up. I love to get the feedback. Leave me a comment because I love hearing what you want me to do or what you thought or what you're doing with your squash, because this is a conversation. We're in this together. So until next time, I want to wish you peace, love, and fiber. And I'm dying for you guys to try this amazing recipe. Let me know what you think. Oh,